welcome back to Hack and Hustle. I'm Anthony Johnson.
And I'm Brad Rager. And today we're talking about nothing else but AI. It seems like we're in this moment where the pace of progress is so fast and our ability to change and adopt is really the thing that is limiting what we actually do with it. So we've been both thinking about this a lot for our business, and we thought we'd just check in with each other, discuss kind of the current state of play with AI, talk about where it's going, and maybe spark some ideas for folks. So,
yeah, absolutely. It's so much. There's so much stuff here.
I mean, this was our last episode, right? So it's top of mind for both of us.
It's so mind-boggling, and I got to say this for everyone, and I just shared this with my team. Right, everybody right now, we are all imposters when it comes to this AI thing. Right, like we're feeling like imposters. You're assuming everybody else knows so much more than you, and then like nobody really has a clue as we're just kind of figuring this out. So I think that's an important piece, but like. These types of conversations, they spawn that creativity, right? So it's just wild, and I'm excited to chat about it.
I mean, I think what you're saying about imposters is right. I came into the cybersecurity industry like 8 years ago, and I certainly felt like an imposter when that first happened. So I guess I'm used to that, and I was a consultant for a long time, so I would get thrown into things that I honestly felt like I had absolutely no real credentials to be talking about or opining on. But I guess that's just the way of the world, right? And it's like, it really is about learning at the end of the day and being curious and understanding what the hell can you do with things. And I think that's where we are with AI. You're right. Everybody's an imposter. I mean, even people that have been building models for years are finding themselves, constantly having to keep up to date with the current state of play. So it's a crazy moment that we're
in. It's wild. This time period though, it reminds me of that Teddy Roosevelt quote, right? If someone offers you a job, say yes, and then go figure out how to do it, right? Right. And he was the president, right? So
he did some cool things in his life too.
He did, right? But now that you got AI, there's a lot more things you could probably do, right? Like,
so how are you thinking about this now? What are you looking at?
So I actually think, and I've been having this conversation with people, I think every CEO, founder, leader needs to be ground up redesigning their company. I think it's that fundamental of a sea change here, right? And if you don't, you're going to wake up so far behind that it's going to be uncanny.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, to hear the folks that are in the midst of it, the people who work in the labs in Silicon Valley talking about the capabilities, and I know that there's an incentive to some degree to promote their own product, yet they're also some of the loudest voices on the risks of AI. To hear them talk about where the capabilities are going to be in 1, 2, 5, 7, 10 years is pretty crazy. I mean, if you picture a world where AI is not just as good as the best 2, 3, 1% of humanity at doing a given cognitive task, but in a few years from that, better than the best.
Yeah.
I mean, it totally flips the whole mental model that we've had about companies and work and value completely upside down. I mean, it's so significant. It's completely hard to wrap your head around it. You know what I'm saying?
It absolutely is. I actually think that we're going to see different ways companies are measured in success, right? I think we're going to see revenue dollars or contributions per employee or per human, if you will, right? And that becomes a really interesting ratio where you want to have higher returns per human because you have so much automation and AI. And I think what's really, really what's kind of crazy right now, though, is that we all are on the same level playing field, right? And the people who've been in industry and doing stuff for a long time, they kind of feel like, hey, I just kind of lost my advantage. And,
Yeah.
But this is a great time for people who are, just working in this, because they can catch up and exceed and do some truly, truly amazing things. And marketing, sales, market research, what we're doing, right? Business optimization, processes, like everything is on the table at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Completely. And it's not only is it on the table, but it's in a way kind of hard to know exactly what to do with it, because the other thing that at least has been in the back of my mind is it's almost like whatever you build, you have to build for a 12 or 16 or 18-month shelf life, because the speed and the capabilities of the tooling around this is changing so quickly, right? So like our mindset is everything is an MVP and will probably kind of stay somewhere close to an MVP for quite a while as the curve keeps moving up from a capability perspective. So how do we think about the use cases that are the most impactful, on one axis, and kind of like the easiest and quickest to build, right?
Yeah.
And you just go get that stuff first that is relatively straightforward and relatively high impact, and then you kind of work your way down from there. I think like that startup mindset around building quickly and to get to, an 80% outcome is so relevant right now. And it's super hard to do if you're in a big company, like super hard to do.
Yeah, especially, these companies that I think in the past they would acquire something and be like, oh, we're going to just use that as the blueprint. It's like, no. This is going to be part of your DNA, right? And it's just going to be wild, right? Question, Brad. So, in your role, what's the most interesting thing you've seen recently that you're just like, holy smokes, that's kind of game changing?
I mean, this is where I feel like even my own education is. I feel like I scratched the surface on the tooling and the capabilities that are out there, and I've always come at things from the business side much more so than the tech side, just in my career. But I started a few months ago at a new job for me with a company called Apollo Information Systems. We're a cybersecurity services bar company that does a lot of things in the SLED space. So the cool thing from where I sit is we're in a relatively small company with processes that are easy to change. I mean, there's nothing locked in it. There's no baggage. There's no tech debt. There's no overhead. We can move very, very quickly. And so it's given us the ability to sort of think from a clean sheet of paper. As we build the thing, how do we want to build it AI first, AI natively? So, we're looking at both sides of the ledger from both kind of call it a cost and efficiency and automation and how do we do things better, faster, cheaper, to how do we use this to grow the business and grow the top line, right? And one of the things I'm super excited about in this space is the data availability in the SLED market is incredible, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we can go to databases and know exactly who has bought what, from who, what price they paid, when their renewal cycles are, what their budgets are, what budgets are growing, what RFPs are coming out. It's like a perfect data universe to put underneath AI, right? And we're building towards a place where we have not just automated fast turnaround of RFP responses, but we're getting signals to our sales teams about opportunities that are coming down the pipeline. We're using it to inform where we hire, who we hire. It's just sort of an incredible sandbox that we have from a commercial standpoint, and we're just getting going with all of this. But my impression is, what would have been call it a 6-month build with all sorts of, data storage and ingest requirements, custom vector models and things like that, I think we're going to be able to get a lot out of the tools that are there already and be able to do this relatively cheaply and efficiently, even relative to what the state of capabilities were 12, 18 months ago. So we're just getting going, but that's probably the use case that I'm most pumped about. Like, imagine if you're an enterprise seller and you knew for your entire prospective book of business who bought what, when, how, and through whom. I mean, it's perfect information.
Being able to synthesize data at scale is going to be fascinating, right? One of the things I think I'm most excited about right now is the ability to accelerate creative content, like in a crazy way, right? And it's not just having a prompt make an image. It's we've built out an AI person. I think we're going to have 3 that can do the video walkthroughs and be the spokespeople of the company. So instead of having to hire one, we can use them. They have a voice and personality, and like it's a consistent persona. It is absolutely fascinating, and being able to take a piece of content and turn that into 5, 10 other things.
Absolutely.
Relatively easy, right?
Right.
At fractions of the cost of what you would have to do before.
Fractions, and not just the derivative content, but personalization of content, I think, is going to be absolutely incredible, right? Like, we can take our entire services catalog and customize the positioning for a particular prospect and talk about how what we do is relevant in that state, in that agency type, provide, pull out the best reference customers in quotes, and just make things hyper targeted and do that stuff with just a human overseeing the process rather than having to create and come up with all the content. It will 20x the productivity of content.
100%. And that's where it's going to be. And you're seeing it already where, like, I forget, there was a research report where it was something like 80% of the content on Instagram is now AI generated, right? People aren't even taking pictures of their own gardens anymore, right? Like, they're just saying, AI, make me a picture of a garden. Like, one of the most popular Instagram influencers was discovered to be an AI bot, right? Which was fascinating. But what really blew me away, I don't know if you saw this. This is about a month ago. There was a band on Spotify. They hit like with the top 10, like their mute people really vibed with the music, and then they realized, like, oh yeah, it was just a fake AI band. Some nerd in a basement wrote it up, right? Like, and like, so what does that say about, like, creativity? How do we think about this, right? But the companies who can use this effectively, oh my goodness, it's going to be wild.
I mean, it feels like that, the moment back in the day when you first made a call on a cell phone to somebody else on their cell phone, and you're like, hey, I'm standing in the middle of a store or a field or something, right? It's like there's this crazy thing that's happening. We're just seeing the earliest signs of it. And I mean, who would have been there at the invention of the cell phone? I remember riding in my dad's car. He had a car phone, and he would make business calls on his car phone when I was a kid. Fast forward to, app development in Uber and mobile first and Instagram and social media. I mean, there's no way you could sit there 20 years ago and predict the world that we're in today. And this feels like one of those moments where 5, 10, 20 years from now, we'll look back on those things as so quaint, and they will have impacted the world dramatically.
It's going to be absolutely fascinating. So, do people have jobs in this future in sales and marketing?
I think they do, because more so for sales probably than for marketing. I mean, this is my take. I think marketing is going to be more ripe for automation than sales is because of the human trust factor that is inherent in sales. Not every sales position, right? Certainly for the most strategic, that becomes most important. And as you get down to smaller transaction sizes or ACV or strategic buys or frequency or whatever, the selling relationship becomes less important. But I do think we will be in a world where trust is a scarce commodity because there is so much fake crap out there that human role is going to be incredibly important. What that looks like, I'm not exactly sure. On the marketing side, I think it's going to become much more about strategy and orchestration and alignment of an engine. It's almost going to be an engineering role more so than I think the creative capabilities are already tremendous. It's only going to get better, and so I think marketing is going to be fundamentally transformed. Sales, it feels more to me like an enabling tool than a transformational one. I don't know. What do you think?
So I think that AI is going to be, particularly for sales, and I'm thinking large enterprise B2B sales, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be the tool that differentiates great from meh, right? Yeah. And the great sellers are going to be able to use these capabilities to do some phenomenal things. Whether it's making sure they're super well prepared, they're engaged, as they're using the data, delivering the right value prop, etc. And the sellers who don't know how to use it or refuse to use it, you're going to see, especially junior, mid-level, if you're just a sit back order taker, that's tough. If you rely on fully an inbound motion, that is ripe for AI to be like, hey, why do we need to pay a person? We can just handle the full AI, the full inbound. They'll think they're talking with a person, right? But when it comes to those really strategic big deals, I think that's where your people will matter. I think people will also matter for early stage companies, right? So I think that's going to become very much more important. But I think we are going to see a glut. I think we're seeing it already. Amazon, laying off 9,000 people recently. Microsoft, 10,000 people recently. Largely, big aspects of sales, engineering, like wow.
It's across the board. It's across the board, and to state the obvious, that's a pretty terrible time to be a college graduate coming out
to the market. It absolutely is, right? And I think what people are going to be paying, and I think you said it really well, people will be paying a premium for compassion, right? For that human connection, right? I have a friend who's an attorney, and I'm like, listen, why am I going to pay for an attorney if I can use Gemini and it's well-trained, smart, and it can do like almost everything to answer my questions and show me the actual case, like super interesting.
It's super interesting, and that in and of itself is just an interesting microcosm, right? Because legal was one of the first, most obvious use cases for AI because of the volume of written words, of both input and output. And you had an absolute deluge of all these startups building custom AI products for law. I think the reality is Chat, Gemini, Claude can do 95% of what these specialized tools can do.
Yeah.
So, you go to the work of deploying one of them across your organization, that thing might be obsolete in 12 months,
Absolutely. I think that's where we get into the importance on the value of the data that your systems are using, right? And when you have, core internal source data that you've trained your systems on, or that you're leveraging, right, that you've uploaded into Notebook for RAG, whatever, that makes a huge difference. And I think we're going to see that making a huge difference. But I think it is super important for people in the sales and marketing functions. Like right now, and actually I did this weekend. I sat down with Gemini and I was like, build me a 6-month training plan so I can learn AI. and I want it, every week. I want some videos. I want some articles, right? And so I've got this plan, and I'm like, I want the links, and it's interesting. And now I'm starting to go through. I'm like, okay, well, I don't think that was a great video, but all right, maybe there's a better one or this. But if the sales and marketing team leaders start to do that and have the AI system say, teach me how to use this most effectively for sales. What are the most emerging tools? What are this? It's going to be how they're going to stay on top of it, stay ahead of it, right? Because we have to be experimenting. I think that's the big thing I'd like to say for folks is like your teams, like it's not even hey, you should be experimenting. It's you have to be experimenting right now. Like you have to be playing with these things, trying it.
And I feel like that so much favors early stage companies rather than established companies.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in cybersecurity, right? I mean, every CISO is trying to figure out how exactly to enable their organizations to use AI, but do so in a secure way. The reality is, smaller companies have a lot less to lose from a data perspective, and experimentation is built into the DNA. That's how you build business, is by experimenting, right? And culturally, it's in the blood of early stage companies. It is not in the blood of large organizations. I think it's going to be fascinating to watch the nature of disruption and competition over the next few years.
Yeah,
I have to think it really favors.
Absolutely right. When it comes to GTM, when it comes to sales, when it comes to sentiment analysis, like there's competitive analysis. There's just so much, but it's all going to come back to the quality of the data, right? And making sure that you have good source data.
And then proprietary source
data. Like I call it UVP, our unique value proposition, right? Like what unique data do we have that nobody else has, right?
100%.
But that's going to be what sets everyone apart, right?
It will. But I also think, just to your point around experimentation, just actual adoption and use, that comes first. And I think it is really hard. I mean, I was a consultant for a decade trying to, get large organizations to change or adopt a new process or enter a new market or whatever. And the cycle time and the speed and the politics and the internal vetoes just caused all of that change to happen so slowly. So I think the first front in this war is just going to be use. It's going to be focus. It's going to be intentionality, intentional experimentation. And then once you're at some level of parity around those things, I think proprietary data becomes even more important, right? And what you're angling your edge when everybody is running on the same level.
Yep, totally agree. So we've talked a lot about how it's important. As we look to wrap this conversation up, because I'm sure we'll have a lot more about AI here. What's the one thing, like whether it's a takeaway or tactical step guidance that you could use, that you would share with somebody of like, they're like, okay, I keep hearing it's important, but like, how do I start to do it? Like, what's the thing you would say?
Well, you know what I love is what you do to build your learning plan. You prompted it into Gemini. So I think that is like the meta thing that is super interesting right now is we're all asking the questions. If we start by asking the questions into AI to help us learn the answers to these questions, it's actually a great starting point to use AI to write your prompts and build your prompts, to use it to stretch your thinking, even at the earliest stages, is actually super, super helpful. So how do I get started and where do I get started becomes less daunting if you're willing to just start to engage in a conversation with the machines about getting started and starting to tackle the problems that you're facing. And the quality of those initial responses and constructs has improved dramatically over the past year.
It's huge.
And GPT-5 is coming out very, very soon, and we'll see what world we're in when that thing comes out.
It's going to be bonkers here. Like, it's just.
But I think it should be really reducing the barriers. Now, security remains, a massive problem to solve, but for those that have the flexibility and the ability to just go in and dive in, I mean, everybody needs to.
Well, one of our future episodes, I want to talk with a security leader about AI, particularly in fraud, because when we start getting to voice cloning and all that stuff, it gets really, really wild, right? But let me just kind of share what I think, and I'm trying to do this, and it's actually way harder than I thought it would be. So when I have a question or something, I just go to google.com, right? It's just like habit. I go to google.com, I just open a new browser, it opens google.com, and then I just type my thing in there. And so I'm now forcing myself that my default is Gemini. And I can ask the same thing, but I get vastly different response, and it helps me to kind of frame it a little bit better. So my guidance is if someone's like, okay, I keep hearing this AI thing or whatever. If you use Gmail or G Suite, try Gemini, ChatGPT, but replace whatever your search engine is. Just get rid of it. Set it Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, whatever, as your default. And within a couple of weeks, you're going to be like, let me expand on that question a little bit more, right? Let me add a little bit more here, right? And the other thing I'll say is, like, I also use please and thank you in case the AI ever takes over. So maybe it will remember that I'm a good human, right?
Did you hear about the coding bot that deleted the entire code base?
No, I did not. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it got angry.
Yeah, see, good human, please, thank you very much.
So maybe that's a good place to leave it. Be nice to your AI. Treat it well.
Absolutely. So thank you everyone for joining us as we kind of just riffed on this topic. This is an insane thing that we'll definitely be talking about more. We're going to weave in security leaders, sales leaders, marketing leaders as we explore on this and a lot of other stuff. So hope this was helpful, and that's wrapped for today. But we'll see you and everyone back here in a couple of weeks for some more Hack and Hustle.
Take care.
Thanks.